What some people find unbelievable is that our governor, Rick Scott, totally changed his position on Obamacare when he's agreed now to the expansion of Medicaid under the Federal Health Care Act. He's agreed to at least cooperate for 3 years and accept that federal money, and there's been quite a reaction to that.
When Charlie Crist, who flipped parties, calls you a flip-flopper, that's a huge, you've made a huge change, and you're right, it is amazing. Governor Scott ran on an anti-Obamacare platform, ran an organization against the Obamacare idea, and here he is saying that the principal way in which Obamacare will be carried out, which is optional in the states, that Florida will go along with it. It's a massive expansion of Medicaid. I think it was a pragmatic decision in some ways. You know, Florida is going to have an uninsured problem, and if the federal government is willing to pick up the cost for at least the first 3 years, 100% of the cost, I kind of take Scott at his word that he looked at the situation like, well, people around the rest of the country are going to benefit from the fact that, the federal government is going to pick up the cost of expanding Medicaid and getting several more people insured. Why shouldn't we go along with it? However, I think it's pretty clear that it was a political trade, a horse trade. Florida also, sort of separately, is changing the way it delivers Medicaid. It is changing. There's been a pilot program in a couple of counties to sort of put managed care, Medicaid, into a managed care system using private HMOs. That is going statewide, and on the same day that Governor Scott announced that he would go along with expanding Medicaid, the federal government announced that just a few hours earlier that Florida will be allowed to take statewide this managed care system. Some call it privatization of Medicaid, something Governor Scott has pushed and pushed and pushed for. And I think it's pretty clear that U.S. Health and Human Services Secretary Kathleen Sebelius at some point said to Governor Scott, and they met in person not that long ago, I think she probably said, you can have the waiver for, to allow you to do this managed care experiment in your state with your Medicaid enrollees, but you're going to have to go along with this expansion of Medicaid. I would also say that, Governor Scott is not the only Republican governor who has agreed to do this. There have been others, and some pretty, John Kasich in Ohio is no moderate. But I think if you look at the states where those governors are, Florida, Ohio, New Mexico, most of them have something in common, and that is that they're pretty purple states. I think somebody probably mentioned to Governor Scott that there are a lot of people who he is going to want to vote for him in the next election who like Obamacare and who like the idea that a lot more people would be insured if they would just go along with this. So I think there was a political calculation as well.